Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Welcome back to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2019 Pro Championships. Got a women's semifinal, and it doesn't get much better than this. San Francisco Fury, Seattle Riot, the biggest rivalry in Ultimate. These two, Lindsay, every time they meet seems to be an instant classic. Should be a good treat for us today.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We've been waiting for this matchup all day. Let's see what they can bring.
Two high-powered programs that have found a lot of success. Fury, back-to-back national champions. Riot has been in semifinals seemingly forever, minus one minor blip in 2017, but both of these teams always in the national championship picture. And these two teams just always seem to play each other, whether it's in the championship game or in semifinals before the championship game. These two programs always meeting up in big games, late in big tournaments, and it almost always comes down to the wire. Should be a good one to conclude our live coverage at ultiworld.com/live this weekend. 3 finals tomorrow that will all be on ESPN3 or Watch ESPN.
Yeah, with these teams playing themselves, or each other rather, so often, it's almost like a scrimmage you could think of, because you know they're going to be seeing each other in the future, and this is going to best prepare them when they do see each other on the national stage.
There's probably not two programs that are more familiar with the other than Riot and Fury. And as you said, a big matchup at Nationals almost always feels inevitable, so perhaps a practice round for these two teams. I'm also sure both of them want to win this one.
Yeah.
That's kind of the nature of a rivalry game. You want to win, get the upper hand every time you meet. Any kind of mental advantage for the next matchup can always prove to be the key. We see Fury starting on defense. Opie Payne sends the pull. Going to be caught by Kaide Yoshida. She centers to Kelly Johnson. An early stoppage downfield as we see Jack Verju go to ground after contact with Opie Payne. Alyssa Weatherford with the disc for Riot. Brings it back to Yoshida. Yoshida turns and finds Weatherford for the reset. Cuts to get it right back. Yoshida, first year with Riot. Already, though, a very important figure on this Riot roster. Jack Verju gets away with a big travel, but they complete the pass to the front of the stack. Hannah Krelkamp making the grab. Here's Abby Abramovich beating Bree Kahn underneath. Another stoppage downfield.
Fury throwing a match defense. And from the sound of the sideline, the disc hasn't traveled to the other side yet, but it sounds like they might be doing a home force or a force middle, but looks like a turn.
Yeah, Yoshida trying to flip the field, looking for Verju. And a big huck coming from Carolyn Finney the other way. Payne, the intended target. Payne fends off the defender. Yoshida makes the grab. So after the turnover, instant huck gets the break for Fury.
That's a great read by Payne. You know, saw the disc coming in, bodied out our defender, was able to move into it very easily for the score.
Fury gets the start they were looking for. Lindsay, I think you may have cursed Riot offensively as soon as you mentioned that they were looking to get to the other side of the field. Results in a turnover.
My bad, Riot.
Take another look. The errant pass looking for Verju. Finney, the reigning club women's player of the year. picks up immediately, goes for Payne. Two of the stars of the division for a long time now. That's really the case for just about every player on these two rosters. Star-studded. Fury getting to send another D-line. Trying to get another break. Riot rotating the offense a bit. Pull coming down from Kayla Helton. Floating, looks like it's tracking towards the boundary, ends up out of bounds. Will be strong field position to start for Riot.
These upwind pulls have been giving teams a lot of troubles today. We've seen a lot of out of bounds, and it's not a consistent wind. It's been quite blustery. So it's hard for these pullers to kind of get a read on the best take that they can do.
Sheena Titcomb fakes the big backhand. Stahl rising, now going across, looking for Julia Snyder. That one out of Snyder's reach. Jessie O'Connor picks up. She goes to the end zone right away. And right away, Fury has another break. Claire McKeever chases that one down. 2 turns from Riot, 2 throws from Fury. That's 2 breaks.
You know, it's really fun to watch a team that can take advantage of those short field turnovers from the others, put it right into the end zone, and keep the game going quickly.
Take another look at the errant reset from Titcomb. And it's Titcomb who gets burned deep, adding insult to injury. So 2 points in a row, the transition defense lacking from Riot. You see Titcomb taking a little bit too long to get on her horse and try to make up the ground. Now, Lindsay, when you're coming into a game, of course, you know, you have to be ready for any kind of scenario, but there aren't really many better starts than having 2 throws in the game, both for breaks. And one player for Riot who will try to overturn this start is Jack Verju, the 2019 Callahan Award winner, as a member of Dartmouth Ultimate. They are a 2-time college national champ. Verju, been a big name in the sport for a long time, has been one of the top individual performers of this club season. Really caused Fury a lot of problems when these two matched up at the U.S. Open earlier this summer. See, Johnson finds Verju underneath.
I really like the defensive pressure that Fury's putting on Riot right now. It's notably more physical than what we are used to seeing. Players are in contact with each other, checking in with each other.
And that contact perhaps bringing play to a stop. Weatherford has the disc checked back in by Sun. Yoshida has it in the center. A couple of wicked fakes. Settles it back to Weatherford. Those two with a little give-go game at the moment. Yoshida turns, finds Weatherford. Weatherford gets fingers to it, does not make the catch. Fury will have a break opportunity on the 3rd straight point. Marika Austin finds herself on the sideline. Sun looking for a reset. Late grab, Meaty Chang surviving the defensive pressure. And now a throw to the end zone to Austin. Austin gets up over Johnson. Slam dunk after the rise from Austin. Fury is on fire to start.
That was a great grab, and a 3-0 lead is going to be tough to come back from.
Take another look at the turnover. Weatherford didn't quite have the reach to save it. Edie Chang making the grab under pressure, and Diana Charrier floating that one. Trust and Austin to go make the play over Johnson.
It's a great bid attempt.
So Riot still yet to have a point without a turnover. Fury yet to have a turnover on their own. Perfect start for Fury. Timeout from Riot to try to catch their breath. Riot with an early 3-break hole, yet to find themselves in the end zone. See head coach Maddie Sang, the architect of this Fury program, been the head coach for a whole lot of national championships. His successes at the club level have risen him to be really one of the most well-known figures in the game. Has coached a lot of international teams as well to great success. Also, just one of the nicest guys playing Ultimate. It's always a pleasure to talk to Maddie Sang. And I'm sure he's in a good mood after this perfect start for his squad.
Yeah, they came out hungry. I mean, for teams that are so used to playing each other, it's really cool to see them come out mentally strong and ready to take this on.
And that is one edge that I think Fury would confidently claim, is having the mental edge in this matchup, have come out on top for so many of the biggest games between these two, as we see another Riot turnover. The throw to Verju coming up empty. Beth Kaler saves that one at her shins. Disc back with Finney. She pushes it over to Payne. Payne unleashes the big backhand downfield, but finally an error from Fury. That one sails well out of bounds.
When this point began, Fury set a zone look where they had a sparse cup and then was person match downfield. So let's see if they set that again at this midfield. Not so sure that they are. Looks like they're staying person.
Snyder swings to the middle, finds Titcomb. Finney taking a stumble, trying to stop the around. Khalees Cardenas centers to Titcomb. Titcomb finding the throw around the mark to hit Verju. They go back to the middle to Titcomb. Titcomb in the end zone from Snyder. Riot still hasn't found the clean O point, but they have finally found the end zone. Finally get on the board.
Fury was forcing Riot backhand for that point. It seemed like they were getting pretty open on those uplines. Not much, not very tight.
See on the replay, really impressive work by Verju on the mark to force that errant throw. And Riot taking advantage on the second possession. Fury, after the 3 breaks, will finally get to see their offense. Now, I know I touted this one as a potential instant classic. You may be, annoyed. Well, this is going to be such a great game. How come Riot gave up 3 breaks to start? But this is often how these games go. Both these teams can run hot and cold, and often will find a late run to get back in games. In fact, one of the biggest comebacks in the history of sports, not just Ultimate, Fury came back from a huge deficit to defeat Seattle Riot in the 2008 National Championship game, one of the most famous games in Ultimate history. So despite the early deficit, Riot won't be too down on themselves. They finally get the D-line out there. We'll try to get one of those breaks back. Jesse O'Connor has it in the middle, brings it over to Helton on the near sideline. She just toes the line. And then throwing back to the middle, leads to a turnover from Helton, and now a short field for Riot. Yoshida has it just outside the end zone. Yoshida gets it to Hannah Kawhi. Kawhi pops it over to Johnson. Those two exchange it rapidly one more time. Johnson now breaks the mark, hits Yoshida in the end zone. So just like that, on their first chance, Riot does get one of those breaks back. They're back within one.
Riot threw a really nice poachy handler defense, which caused that turn. They were able to turn that around into a score with a beautiful break backhand.
Connor gave it her best effort to save that missed pass. Kind of leaning the wrong way as Helton went for the reset. And strong work from the Riot handlers in the red zone. Still down a couple of breaks, but that will certainly reinforce that confidence that this game is not over despite the slow start.
It's getting muggy out here.
Getting a little humid.
Yeah.
This is the final round of the day, and both of these teams just had lengthy byes. They both, Fury, an even lengthier one, as they had a bye into this semifinal after winning their pool, going 4-0 through pool play. But with the staggered semifinal round, both of these teams have been waiting around to get this game going. Finney gets the centering pass. Now with Kirsten Johnson, she brings it to Beth Kaler. Kaler gets off the forehand, finding Cree Howard, and Howard throwing into a trailing defender. Hit Snyder. Didn't really know anything about that, but she will take credit for the block, I'm sure. Mistake from Howard gives Riot a chance to get another one of these breaks back. Titcomb goes to the air right away. Defender falls down. Samantha Rodenberg pulls it in. Looks like no call on the play. Rodenberg stays strong for the goal. So far this game we've had 2 runs of 3. Fury grabbed the first 3 to go up. Riot answers right back with 3 in a row of their own, and we are back tied up.
Both these teams are doing a really nice job of utilizing that deep space. Right when that turn happens, right, there's always someone streaking deep, and most of the time they're hitting it and scoring. So I think it's a really, just looking back at that D, turned right into that flick hook.
Titcomb floats it out to space for Rodenberg nicely. And Howard will be a frustrating point for her. She was the defender who hit the turf after the contact. Unlucky turnover for her. You saw her winding up for the big forehand downfield, and Snyder, who was well behind her defender, came out of the blind spot of Howard right as she was releasing the disc.
Just like that, they tie it up at 3s.
So through 6 points, we have 1 hold. Defenses have been on top in the early stage of this game. Italy Titcomb just had that pretty throw for the assist on the pole. O'Connor again catching the centering pass. O'Connor in her first year with Fury after a number of years playing with Washington, D.C. Scandal. And she unleashes a big backhand for Julia Butterfield. Easy grab in the end zone for the big cutter. Another first-year player on this Fury roster. The 2 Fury rookies connecting for their first hold of the game.
I don't think you can ask for a better offensive point than that. Center of the disc, swing to the side, cut up line, and a beautiful huck deep to a streaking cutter.
Fury in their first year, minus program pillar Alex Snyder, who has been an anchor in the team's backfield for really almost the entire length of their dominance at the top of the sport. And O'Connor has not taken over the same role, but done a nice job of helping fill that departure from Snyder. See her throwing ability with the on-the-money forehand for Butterfield.
It's a big move from DC.
Yeah, switching coasts.
Yeah.
Get a look at the fans over there on the sideline. The Ultiworld dogs have really caught on. I think one of the most, maybe the only universally supported aspect of Ultiworld over the last couple of years has been the dog coverage. And Lindsay, you mentioned this in the previous round. They has wound on some pretty decent crowds building up for the semifinals. Big bid from Austin comes up short. Abby Abramovich able to hang on. Shira Stern sliding for that one. Cassie Swafford has it. Drops it back. A little reset to Snyder. Kawhi surveys the field. Gets it right back to Snyder. Snyder stoops under the mark, looking for Stern. The big bid comes up empty. Looks like we might have a foul on the throw.
Fury seems to be throwing a forced middle defense right now.
Foul call, no contest.
Take another look.
Hold
So
on.
Johnson got a hand on the disc before Snyder had released it. She does not contest the foul, so she will try to reset that force you were talking about, Lindsay.
Yeah, you might be able to hear it from the sidelines. The rest of the teammates of Riot yelling home and away to help remember, or help remind the mark, rather.
Weatherford pops it over the mark of Griffith. They continue it from Snyder to the end zone. Finds Stern for the score. Pretty red zone offense from Riot. They get their first clean hold of the game.
Yeah, force, is very effective when you have teams that really like to huck it, right? The more that you can condense the playing field means that the window that thrower has to throw to is much smaller, and most of the time you can have defenders in those lanes that are going to be attacked able to make a play on those discs. They made it work through some chippy little throws in and out, but looking to see if it shuts down any of their deep game.
Content to play the short game that point around was Riot. Get the hold. Maggie Rudin, our player to watch for San Francisco Fury. One of the veterans on this team, currently in her 8th year on the roster. Callahan finalist at Sonoma State in her college career. Impressive to become a Callahan finalist from a small school like that. Works with Nancy Sun and Carolyn Finney at IKE. And those two, of course, two of her well-known teammates, 3 players that have been key figures of this Fury program for a number of years. It's Titcomb with pulling duty once again for Riot. Caught by Chang, quickly getting it to Finney, and now in the hands of Rudin.
Riot throwing another zony look.
Trying to trap on the sideline. Finney looking for Kaler downfield. Kaler didn't look too aware of that fact. Never turned on the burst to try to go get that one. So it results in a Fury turnover. Riot have a chance to get this one back on serve. Finney shooting it too far for her teammate downfield. Big gain up the line. Titcomb now looking to continue it to the end zone, looking for Bailey Zonizer, and that is on the money but dropped. Late pressure from Chang perhaps being the difference. I think Zonizer will feel like she should have caught that one, though.
Actually impressed with how well that throw came off. That was a very, very tight window for her to have such a substantial gain in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Titcomb, you see the empty bid from Titcomb. Not sure she could have put it in a better spot. Fury working quickly the other way. This throw getting away from Kaler, looking for Claire Desmond. Desmond trying to adjust in the end zone, but swatted away at the last second. Chaos starting to build. A state of play that these two teams are used to playing in against each other. We have another stop of play.
No call. Yep. Okay. So we in on one?
Yeah.
Wait,
You
I'm
can come in on two.
Okay.
Higher up, but I thought there was a call, so I say come in on two. Okay.
all right. We're coming in on two. Let me get out of the way.
Johnson mistakenly bringing play to a stop, thinking there was a call downfield when in fact there was not. She resets to Samia Ismail. Ismail just sneaking around O'Connor, hitting Zahnizer underneath. Strong cut for the reset from Titcomb. Uncorks another big backhand, looking for Rodenberg downfield. Howard has it gobbled up though. Impressive downfield defense from Howard. Chang
Nice
saves
grab.
with the bid going down to the ground. Big throws coming left and right. Another missed one, this time from Rudin, looking for Desmond downfield.
Both teams seem to be rushing a lot of these deep decisions where they have the throwers and they have the athletes. I think if they just were connecting on a few more of these, this game could be taking a much different path. And a timeout by Riot.
It's Titcomb that picks up, calls a timeout after a pretty rapid exchange of some turnovers. Both teams will talk it out, try to recompose themselves offensively. Good one here early. 4-4 between Fury and Riot. Has been back and forth even in these early stages. Lengthy point, Riot trying to compose themselves, looking for the break to try to get this one back on serve. It's Titcomb that'll have the disc with her heels on her own goal line. Finney taps the disc back into play. Ismail with the reset cut across the front. Desmond was lurking. Doesn't pull the trigger on the bid.
Fury contesting all of these throws with very strong match defense.
Zahnizer comes underneath. And her continue down the line. Ends up out of bounds. A pair of turnovers from Zahnizer. Finney getting underneath the mark to find Rudin. Disc finds its way to Desmond. And Howard is wide open underneath. She pops that one to Rudin. Kaler wins the matchup under, able to gain a couple of yards. Back with Howard.
Oh.
Another big bid from Titcomb. Again, this one comes up empty. Just finding that window to Finney. Fury hangs on. They get the hold.
Fighting the laws of gravity on that bid. Can't fall any faster.
Strong bid from Rodenberg to try to save that turnover from Zahnizer as well.
Just out of reach.
Sheena Titcomb, definitely a player known for her strong throwing ability. We've seen her have several pulls, but also really has very big bids. And there has been a technical foul assessed to Fury for rushing the field after that score. Something you see from time to time, really has a bearing on the game, other than teams being a little bit more cognizant of rushing to celebrate with their teammates after a score. But several chances going begging on that point for Riot to get the game back on serve, some unforced turnovers.
I hope there's a lot of people at home that are watching this and realizing that these women are crushing this right now. You see physical matchups, you see big throws, you see exciting plays and bids. Hoping a lot of our younger players can see this and hopefully aspire to be more like these players.
Hard to rise to that level, I would say. So much talent on display when these two match up, but certainly always a good show. See Khalees Cardenas beats her defender underneath and centers back to Snyder. Snyder with a quick forehand, and Payne with the massive bid, not able to beat Verju to the disc though. Weatherford has it in the middle. Kawhi gets off the forehand, finding Stern. Stern to Kawhi to Snyder. The one-handed snare from Kawhi saves the throw from Snyder.
Riot making some great decisions under pressure. The energy is rising throughout this point.
And Cardenas flips it to Stern in the end zone for the goal. Strong defensive pressure from Fury. Riot fights their way through it for the clean hole.
I'm really enjoying this.
It's hard not to, Lindsay, I have to say.
Yeah. I've never competed in women's club. And I've always admired those who do. It's just a different pace, and they're crushing it.
This game definitely has the feel of a lot of weight, I would say.
Yes.
Sometimes the club division can be criticized for not always having that urgency or intensity during the regular season. I don't think you can say that about this one. You saw the massive layout from Payne trying to take it away from Verju. That's one of the fun things about a rivalry game, I think, Lindsay, is that, you know, no matter the stakes, both teams really want to win.
Yeah, they keep it even at 5-5.
Fury still up a break. If you're just joining us, Fury broke on the first 3 points of the game. Riot has battled their way back to level. It's Titcomb once again coming down with the pull. Johnson catches and centers to O'Connor.
Good pull coverage from Riot, getting down there quickly.
Fury working quickly as well. Griffith looking for a reset, able to find it to Lakshmi Narayan. Tight defense from Riot, disc with Anna Reed. Reed gets it to Griffith. Of course, famously a long-tenured Riot player making the switch to Fury a season ago. That throw from Reed, not able to connect with Narayan. Fury seem to have survived the tough part of the defense, but once they get near the end zone, commit the turnover.
That same third around flick into the end zone is always a tough one. It's a very tight angle for your player to run onto to catch it into the end zone, and especially on that sideline that you don't have a lot of room for error.
Errant throw coming back the other way. Riot coughs it up. Smooth around from O'Connor. Johnson has to get up for it. Continue under pressure to Narayan. It was Molly Sinnott hunting that one down. But from there, easy hold for Fury. They get the hold after the turnover and maintain their one-break lead.
Both teams maintaining a lot of poise out here on the field. No one looks rushed. The disc is moving quickly, but there's not a lot of rash decisions being made. Throws are being hit open, which sounds like it's easy, but
it can be tough to maintain. Yeah, sorry to speak over you there,
fine.
Lindsay, but definitely can be tough to maintain your composure through such tough defensive pressure.
Absolutely. And especially with teams that you see playing each other so often, athleticism aside, this is a mental game for them. You see these matchups a lot. You almost get practice against these players that play in the same role as you, and you don't ever want to sleep on them. You don't ever want to underestimate them, but it's difficult to when you see them so often. So I haven't seen any of that yet, but I don't know. It's looking good.
Definitely been a treat of a game to this point. Neither team really able to grab a solid hold despite the very strong start from Fury. But you do get the sense that both teams will have a chance to win this one in the late stages. Krelkamp finds Weatherford for the reset. Verju finds their way underneath. Stern slides to save that one, marked by Anna Nazarov. Stern goes back to the middle to Snyder. Snyder quickly continues.
Nice.
Leaping grab by Abramovich. Kawhi breaks the mark with the stretchy backhand. Stern just outside the end zone. Snyder finds Verju for the score. Fun matchup between Verju and Butterfield. Those two matched up in college quite a bit. Verju gets the upper hand here at the club level. And their goal ties things back up for Riot.
You see Riot, oh my goodness. Riot doing a really nice job cycling through their players. They don't really have anyone stuck in a specific role. You see cutters coming back and filling as those resets. You see handlers going upfield and getting huge gains on unders. It shows the level of a quality team when you can trust everyone in every role.
And that's one thing that stands out about both of these clubs, I would say, Lindsay. A lot of times, the biggest tournaments, you look at the stat line at the end of the tournament and no one really stands out. But I think that's because really at this level, they're virtually all superstars and they all play their roles just at a very high level and able to spread that scoring responsibility out across the board.
And spread the playing time too. You see a lot of these players coming from their college division that are used to being the person. Like they are every other, they are the one making the plays, they are the one marshaling the offenses and the defenses, honestly. And then when you come to this level, which is the beauty of Club Ultimate, people can really shine in the role that they were meant to play for.
You say that as someone who maybe has experience marshaling just about every point at the college level, Lindsay.
Yeah, which is why I love club. I mean, I love college, and it's a great experience, and it's where I began my career, my ultimate playing. But that's why club is great to be surrounded by people that can help you improve and make a team better. We see Riot throwing another zone look.
And Lou bends that one up the boundary line, and Fury now in goal-scoring territory. This finds its way to Johnson. Now with Kaler. Ooh, tough bid from Titcomb. Big collision into Lou. Titcomb bidding really right in the midsection of Lou. Looks like we have a different conversation as well further downfield.
I felt, as I was trying to run forward, it felt like you just dead stopped and came back towards me to try and stop my cut. Is like then why I think you probably felt a push is okay where I'm coming from. Sure. Okay.
So are we treating it as a contest?
I think so.
I also don't think it really matters because the disc is in on one there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Just feeling a lot of
Okay.
yeah, I'm pushing, my body was here. I
We're good.
hands in my back.
All right, everyone's in position.
So stoppage was a result of that conversation between Charlie Eide and Johnson. A little surprised that there wasn't more discussion about the bid from Titcomb. I think we'll talk about that in a second. As Maggie Rudin goes up over Ismail for the score. Big grab for Rudin for the goal. Fury gets the hold, maintains still that one break lead.
I love to see the entire team coming out there and congratulating their teammates. Really keeps the spirit up and keeps you wanting to compete.
strong hold for Fury. Going to take another look at that bid from earlier. Really just an unsafe play from Titcomb. There's no way she could have made that play without the contact that occurred. A little surprised she was not given a card for that play.
What a grab.
But it is Rudin with the highlight reel play going up who ends the point. Fury hasn't been able to find a break since that third point. But if they are able to get back another break on the board, it would be for half. But I have to say the Riot offense has really done a nice job of riding the ship after those early miscues. Looks like it will be Payne on the pull. Payne, a 3-time club national champion, twice with DC Scandal, 4-time, because she has won back-to-back with Fury now. One of the most decorated players in the sport. Swafford forehands to Krellkamp. Krellkamp going for the big backhand downfield for an open stern, easy connection. Riot haven't had many points quite that easy. They'll take it. Tied back up at 7.
That was a great read. Honestly, not very contested. Easy up and catch into the end zone.
Not the downfield defense Fury would have wanted. Nice throw, though, into space from Krellkamp to take advantage of that separation Stern had earned. So 1 point left for the half. Fury will hope that they can take a 1-break lead into halftime. Holding onto that break advantage into the half makes such a big difference, Lindsay. You kind of get that extra half break, as they call it. It'll give yourself some breathing room, a little bit of extra breathing room in the second half.
Yeah. It's also a strategy for teams, too, in that initial flip for the game to decide if you want to start on offense or defense first. To hit the ground running for that second half on offense is beneficial in itself, but then having an extra point from the prior half is just as beneficial. It's all mental at that point.
Absolutely. And in tight games like these, the team with the better mental strength often the one that comes out on top.
And it's been a long weekend so far.
Plenty of tight games, and I think that's what makes it feel long, is that every game has been so competitive with so many high-level teams all present. O'Connor lets that one breeze beyond her. Fury working lightning quick. Rudin, that throw getting away from her. Kaler going to try to save it. No dice, intercepted by Johnson. Fury looked to be on easy street for the hold, but the errant throw from Rudin gives Riot a chance to break.
Got to be careful with those lofty throws in this gusty conditions. Things will pop up and drop quicker than you think, or longer than you think.
Johnson goes up the line for Titcomb, who brings it back to Yoshida. Moving it quickly is Riot, looking for this break to take half. Stoppage downfield, disc with Johnson.
I heard it as it was like, as I was turning. Coming in on 3 then? Like what did I say? Yeah, you said 4. But what did, sorry, when it was happening, what had I said? Well, I think
So,
on 3.
okay, and on 3?
Yeah, because
Okay.
she's saying it happened like 2 stalls ago.
So then it would have been 5, so then we'll do 3.
Great.
Okay.
I just looked
Yeah.
at the calendar, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're not.
Finney and Johnson able to agree on the stall.
Nice defense by Fury.
Johnson able to work through it to find Cardenas. Yoshida with the break. Sliding grab by Rachel Bradshaw saves possession. Johnson totally unmarked, squeezes it into Yoshida. Yoshida continues to the end zone to Zonizer. So Riot does break for the half. After all that, we are headed to halftime with the game on serve.
That was a really fun point to watch. They moved the disc efficiently and quickly.
See again the mistake from Rudin. Fury had gotten to that strong field position in seconds. All went away with one mistake from Rudin, and Riot makes them pay. They break to take half, so they completely undo that rough start, giving up 3 goals early to Fury. They will go into the break on serve with the 8-7 advantage. Fun half, though, just as expected between these two. Both teams putting on a show. Fury will hope to regain that start they had, Lindsay. Is there anything you noticed that shifted, from those first 3 points, an adjustment maybe that Riot was able to make?
I think what Riot started doing well was I might have to put it back to you because I'm not quite sure how to put it into words yet. But they're moving the disc efficiently, and they're taking advantages when they get it, and just turning cuts into clears, which is also able to be hit. So it's a good
Sets
half.
us up, yes, absolutely. Sets us up for a good second half. We'll be back in just a moment.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go, take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Back here, just moments away from the second half of this semifinal matchup between Fury and Riot here at the Pro Championships. Lindsay, we started talking about this a little bit before the halftime break. Fury got off to a really strong start, getting 3 breaks right off the bat. Felt like maybe the game changed a little bit as Riot was able to go on an 8-4 run to take half. What did you notice that flipped the script from that early going?
Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly the cause of this comeback, but what I've noticed a lot with Riot, and I really like what I'm seeing, is they have these cuts are coming in, and the handlers are doing a phenomenal job of communicating with them with the pump fakes and everything. And even if an in cut isn't available, they're doing a really good job at taking space to make the cut an option. They're hitting these 7 cuts, they're hitting chippy little insides, and able to move the disc quickly to therefore gain more yards and throw Fury off of their mark a little bit.
Fury maybe lost the defensive mojo a bit. They have gotten a lot of breaks this weekend. Have only really been in one close game. Starting the second half on offense, we see Lou hits a stooping cutter downfield to Sharon Lin. Meaty Chang quickly swings it over to Helton.
Fury keeping 3 handlers back.
O'Connor coming back into the backfield, now airs out the forehand for for Helton. Helton runs that one down for the clean hold from Fury. They level us back up at 8.
I think that was a pretty strategic decision. In what I'm seeing, if you keep 3 handlers back, that means 1 less person in that deep space, which opens up the space for your cutters a little bit more. They shot a beautiful flick huck over the stack into that end zone, easily run onto for the score.
So after the hold from Fury, to start us in the second half, Riot will get to send the offense back out. And another big difference, you touched on this a little bit, Lindsay, Riot's ability to weather that Fury defense. After those 3 breaks in the first 3 points, Fury only able to generate 1 more break chance in the half. Did not convert. So it has not necessarily been that Fury has become inefficient with their chances. Riot has just done a much better job of surviving the defensive pressure from Fury. Fury will have to find a way to get back into that defensive mindset, take the disc away to give themselves those break opportunities that they have been efficient with when they've gotten them. You get a look at the D-line unit that Fury will send down to try to do just that. It's Nancy Sun who will be on the pole. Pole goes up. Yoshida catches and centers to Weatherford. She quickly brings it to Verju. Verju gives it right back.
It's like a little bit of a spread stack going on here from Riot.
Still all in the backfield for Riot. Nothing downfield just yet. Some yardage there to Kawhi. Kawhi drops it back to Yoshida. Yoshida the quick around. Finds Stern on the far sideline. Kawhi flips the field, hitting Verju. Verju immediately goes to the big forehand, looking for Abramovich. That goes out the back. Caught by our cameraman, Jesse, down in the back corner. Good hands from Jesse Goldstein back there.
You know, I like that look. If that throw was inbounds, it would be perfect for that defender to not have a play. It's unfortunate that it went a little bit too far out.
One of those circumstances where the look was there, the execution just wasn't. So Fury trying to convert on this break chance. It's Sun airing out a big backhand looking for Griffith. Kawhi has a big height advantage downfield, takes advantage of that, intercepts it. So just a one throw possession for Fury. Riot right back at it offensively. Swafford comes underneath for Stern. Completes the swing to Kawhi. Kawhi elevates it for Weatherford.
Fury throwing another forced middle.
Riot trying to work their way through it. Kawhi with it once again. Kawhi led the team in assists at the U.S. Open. Just a strong presence in the backfield for Riot. But Kawhi showing you she's got the wheels as well, just outside the end zone though. And she dinks it to Verju just in the front of the end zone for the score. Fury does get a crack at it. Can't complete a pass though with the D-line offense. Riot gets the hold.
A forced middle defense like that is something that requires, one, a lot of communication from the sideline, but also a lot of heads-up defensive plays from your downfield defenders, right? We discussed orbiting in the earlier games today, but it is such a substantial aspect of this defense. You need to be on your person, ready to switch around because the force is always changing that center, and it depends where the disc is so that you can be best in between that thrower and your person to best defend it.
So is that an area that you think Fury is, living up to for the force middle? Is that an area you think that you maybe need to see a little bit better execution if they want to start generating more turnovers?
I think it looks good. I think it's definitely slowing down a lot of the deep game that Riot has shown a little bit earlier in the day. But then again, they also have very talented throwers and handlers that are very good at working the disc up the field. So I maybe would like to see them throw their zone again to kind of see if they can break it down and poach those lanes a little bit more. To put the stress back onto the handlers. But we'll see.
At the end of the day, Ultimate is an offensively focused game. A perfect offense is always going to beat a perfect defense. Both sides, though, have shown wrinkles in the ability defensively to at least create a lot of pressure and make it difficult for the two offenses. Johnson works her way free for Finney, quickly swings it to Chang. Johnson swings it back the other way now to Finney. Quick continue to Rudin.
Here we have Riot throwing what looks to be a zone with almost a wall in the center. I mean, like a spread wall. Looks like zone. But doing a really nice job shifting around with those popping unders.
Fury swinging it back and forth. Finally out across midfield.
Fury's doing a great job of taking advantage of the weaknesses of this defense. If you are moving the disc from side to side, you're making that cup tired, which is making your ability to throw through it much greater. People get tired, they get slower. You have bigger windows for throws like that.
Quick work, quick movement in terms of passing the disc from Fury once they cross midfield. Expert work really offensively. They get the hold. Riot was able to kind of bend, not break in the middle part of that field, but then once Fury found that gap, able to work right through it, capped off by the hammer from Finney to Chang. You know, hucks and big plays and skies are of course a lot of fun, Lindsay, but I think one of the more underrated aspects, the entertainment value of Ultimate, is when the disc is just moving lightning quick like that, picking apart a defense with precision and quickness.
Yeah, sometimes it's almost much more satisfying to break through a zone and get those cheeky little inside throws and score from that when everyone touches the disc on the field versus one person just jacking it down the field. It makes more of it like a team-oriented point rather than just having some ballers.
Unfortunately, we've had both examples of both in this game.
You need both to be successful, honestly.
Getting the best of both worlds. You saw a little glimpse of the weather forecast. 78 degrees, warmed up just a bit, but not too bad. But you saw the humidity really is what has given us the warm feeling out here in Philadelphia. Doesn't seem to be affecting the players too much, though. The level of play has not dropped off much. Yoshida takes the gimme to Weatherford. Riot still probing against this defense from Fury. A little bit of a zony look of their own. And a big layup block in the middle. Takes it away. Anna Nazarov, huge defensive bid. Snatches the disc away. Fury will have a chance to break. Anna Nazarov, my goodness.
If that doesn't hype you up to go score, I don't know what else will. That was great heads-up defense. That's why teams throw zones, to create those opportunities to turn the disc.
Payne floats it to Griffith. Griffith does the opposite, makes it tough for Nazarov, but she saves that one. Nazarov now breaking the mark to find Narayan. Payne has it just outside the end zone. Brings it back to Nazarov. Nazarov takes the backhand of the foreside, some contact late between Narayan and Verju. But Narayan hangs on for the score in the end zone after the big defensive play from Nazarov. Fury works the offense in the red zone. They get the break. They retake the lead.
I hope we're bringing up that bid again to see how much air she got on that. She was absolutely horizontal. Oh my goodness.
The explosiveness from Nazarov to take that one away. Verju taking a knee to the forehead on the late bid. Verju trying to take the disc back after the turnover, unable to grab it. And we have a timeout called by Fury after that break.
It's great to see how something like that sort of bid can hype up both teams. I mean, yes, of course it's going to hype up your own team because you have a phenomenal opportunity to score off of that, but as the other team, you have to answer. You have to bring your energy up to that level and be ready to fight for that point back.
Riot going to try to regroup after giving up the break with the timeout. Back on the other side of that Fury timeout after they just got that dramatic break to retake the lead. In the other women's semifinal, Molly Brown is leading Toronto Sixers 9-7. So the winner of these two simultaneous games will meet up in the final tomorrow. Fury holds the edge, having just grabbed it. Tickham beating Desmond to that disc. Desmond just missing out on the block. Snyder goes to the far sideline to Sonnheiser.
Fury throwing a very effective cup on the handlers. Mark defense down the field, match defense rather.
And another throw into pressure. It's Austin that comes up just short this time. Bradshaw able to make the grab. Bradshaw pops it to Titcomb to put her just outside the end zone. Swing from Johnson to Krelkamp. Krelkamp dishes to Sonnheiser, cutting to the front of the end zone. Riot answers the Fury break with a clean hole.
That's easy offense.
Both teams have been so impressive, swinging the disc from side to side, probing, finding that space.
It's literally going to comment on the same thing, how it's so effective to have the handlers and downfield players that are able to swing the disc so effectively. And it's really what sets up your downfield cuts for better situations that can get them really open. It's the little things that just have influence all over the field.
Lindsay, I know you're not too familiar with this matchup as someone who your area of expertise is the mixed division.
Correct.
What have you thought so far? Have you enjoyed this match so far between two of the biggest rivals in all of Ultimate?
I have. I very much so have. You don't notice much difference, honestly. I think once you get to this elite level of talent, people know what they're good at, and the coaching staff knows what their players are good at. So you put them in the best situations to succeed. And I think you're really seeing this here too. No one seems to be out of their element. Everyone seems to be comfortable moving the disc, and I love a high-stakes, fast-paced game in any respect.
Howard gets that pass from Nazarov, now with Rudin. Contact after the grab by Megan Liu. Ismail clatters into her. No contest on the foul, so Liu will keep possession. Liu drops it back to Howard. Howard throwing to the end zone beyond the reach of the bid from Kaler. Howard getting a little too quick with that throw, I think, unnecessary. Kaler just missing on the big layout.
Props to the second teammate to also put a bid out there.
Johnson finds a throw around the mark to hit Eide. Eide throws into a turn. Meaty Chang got enough to prevent Johnson from making the play.
Not quite sure why that throw went up.
Was not an obviously open throw, that is for sure. Fury now just outside the end zone. Another layout from Nazarov, this time to save possession for the offense. Kaler snags as well. Kaler directs traffic, finds Johnson. Johnson, the forehand continue for the score. Fury hasn't given back really, but they will take the hold. Meaty Chang with the score. They maintain this lead late.
I love to see the decisions that these players are making out on the field. You know, as commentators, you're watching and you're counting that stall in your head, and you're thinking like, oh my goodness, like something's going to go up or something big is going to happen. But then you realize the decisions that they're making are so much more beneficial to the overall offense. They're taking a breather. They're hitting those open throws, taking a breath, and making it easy offense without having to throw out any bailouts into the end zone, which could result overall in a turn.
See the approval from Maddie Chang, applauding his team's offensive effort. Saying, as we discussed earlier, really been, I wouldn't say the face of the Fury program over the years. A lot of players, of course, carry that mantle, but he is certainly one of the figures you think of first when you think of the Fury program. He'll be paying a relative newcomer to Fury, but already been a part of some major success. She is the one on the pole. And it is a long, floaty one. Snyder pops it to Weatherford, who gives it right back. The swing to Kawhi.
Fury throwing their poachy handler defense.
Kawhi looks to get it off the sideline, does by finding Snyder. Snyder swings it over, but that pops up over the head of Stern. Will be a Riot turnover. O'Connor picks up for Fury. Unable to connect with McKeever downfield. So another one throw break chance for Fury. And they turn it right back. Kawhi swings it over to a wide open Stern. Stern got that separation as a result of a pick, though, so she'll have to come back to the middle of the field. Kawhi goes right back to Stern, who saves it this time with a big layout. Stern still making the grab, this one a bit tougher. She swings it back to the middle to Kawhi.
Riot working out of a center vertical stack. Using that ace as a reset.
These Riot handlers have had so much responsibility for the disc movement. Kawhi catches it once again. Not a whole lot of success for the downfield cutters for Riot. Weatherford, Kawhi, and Snyder trying to do their best to work it up anyway. Now getting some yardage downfield as Snyder finds Abramovich. Snyder goes right back to Kawhi. Throw under pressure, Verju up to the task. Weatherford sending the forehand to Abramovich in the end zone. So the Riot handlers put on a clinic. Wait for their cutters to finally gain some separation downfield, and they get the hole.
This is a great example of why teams drill end zone time after time after time, practice after practice, and yes, it gets boring, and yes, it gets mundane. But when you get into these high-stakes situations, you see why it's worth it. I mean, you have these throws and these catches that you have to complete, and without it, teams would not be as successful as they are.
With cap going on after the conclusion of that point, we will play a game to 14. Comes as no surprise, but setting up for an exciting finish between these two, both playing for a spot in the Pro Championships final. All the Fury offense you see on the field, all they need to do is hold on throughout the rest of this game. Get those holds, they will come out on top. It's Titcomb once again who will start the point with the pull. Been a strong pulling performance from Titcomb today.
Also noticed how nice it is to have observers for each game.
Definitely ideal at this level of play to have every game observed. One of Tickham's shorter pulls picked up off the ground by Johnson. A couple of quick throws, has it with Rudin. Finney pops to Kaler. Another score update in the other semifinal. Molly Brown up 10-9 on Sixers. So a tight one over there as well.
Riot setting up to defend these deep cuts. That happens when you position yourself behind your defender in order to keep a benefit, like you're more on that side, more able to defend that, forcing them unders.
Finney snaps the forehand to Meaty Chang. Chang, quick dish to Kaler, and the quick continue to Finney for the score. Clean offense from Fury. That's just what they'll want the rest of this game.
Backpedals into the end zone.
Strong, smooth offense from Fury. Have a look at the goal scoring pass. And that has been a trend for this game. Both teams playing with strong, high-intensity defense. And for the most part, I think both offenses will be pretty happy with how they've been able to fight their way through it. Of course, turnovers are inevitable, and when both teams are as talented as they are, giving up some breaks is usually in play. But when both offenses have been clicking, they have both been impressive.
I love to see these players that have been playing upwards of 8 games this weekend still jogging onto the line. You know, like, you put so many miles on your body for these weekends, and you have to be tired, you have to be exhausted, and this is definitely the hottest that it's been today, at least. Players are still putting it out there, still wanting to compete well and put on a show.
Well, both of these teams are, of course, accustomed to having to play deep into tournaments and very intense games. So I imagine they'll both be up to task of finishing this game strong. Short pull this time. Kawhi races onto it. Bit of a low reset from Weatherford. Kawhi gets it to Snyder, a couple yards up the line. Snyder going to unleash a big backhand. That's caught down just outside the end zone, I believe. No, in the end zone is Cassie Swafford. Big ups from Swafford to get up over Helton.
Quite the grab. She almost reached backwards for that.
Swafford, the former Callahan winner, not had a huge impact in this game, but showing you her ability on that play for the Riot hold. Another look, the big backhand. Swafford just goes and snatches it away from the defender, Helton.
Almost looked like it came out too low, but it was right at the perfect position for her to get that over her defender.
Right before Swafford made the play, I thought that was about to be a block by Kayla Helton. Swafford says, no thanks, I'll take it. I'd like the goal. So Riot able to keep pace with that hold, 12-12. Teams continue to trade holds down the stretch. And the pressure will continue to mount on the offenses to do just that. Of course, if Riot gets a break, they will take the lead. A break from Fury at this point. Well, a break from Fury at this point would put the game away if they get a hold, and then a break would win them the game at 14-12. So just a few points remaining here with a spot in the final on the line.
Beautiful pull. Good coverage by Riot. Yoshida gets down there. Oh.
Howard survives the pressure from Eide to make the grab underneath. Rudin a little more free to make her grab under. Kaler airing it out, looking for Howard downfield. Eide giving chase, but it's not enough. Howard runs it down for the score. Fury within one of the final.
That's one of those situations where you really have to decide if you have a 100% play on that disc. If you bid and you're on the ground, your defender has a clear advantage to run and take that space. And I think that's what happened for that deep cut.
A fantastic throw into space from Kaler. Heidi never really a chance to make a play. And it wasn't that Howard had a ton of separation, but she had that one step, and that was enough with the pretty throw from Kaler. Game point for Fury. A break will do it. Will clinch their spot in the final tomorrow. Riot needs a hold and a break. Moments like this, Lindsay, I think are why we all love Ultimate. It comes down to these last couple of points where there's that pressure and you know you have to get the goal.
And it also proves a mentally strong player. I know we've touched on this a lot, but if you get a player that gets out there and second guesses the decision because they don't want to be the one to turn it or force it into a window that's not as big as it could be, it really alters the gameplay.
Yeah, a mistake now could end the game. See the pull from Fury sails out of bounds. A strong starting spot for the Riot offense. Will be Weatherford walking it to the middle of the field. She checks the disc in and immediately goes to Kawhi. Snyder gets it back to Weatherford.
Riot attacking lateral spaces and now have refound themselves in a center vert.
Kawhi pops it over to Verju, marked by Payne. The offhand, backhand floating. Weatherford enough space to run onto it. Riot threatening for the hold to send us to double game point. This one pops up out of the hand of Snyder, though. Brecon tracks it down, swats it to the ground to make sure Verju can't make the play. So Fury will have a full field to go, but if they are able to get this break, it would be for the game. Finney starting the possession for Fury. Easy underneath to Narayan. Another easy under, this time to Marika Austin.
Looks like Riot is poaching in that open side lane and deep a little bit to us for Fury to not huck it immediately.
Griffith.
An interception.
Griffith throwing into a lot of traffic. Not sure of the decision making there from Griffith as Fury looked to be working well, but they are going to get the disc back. Another missed throw for Riot. So a second chance to break for the win. O'Connor hits Payne, who's able to readjust. She just changed her cut. This throw from Payne gets over the top of Kawhi into the hands of Khan, but she drops it onto the ground. An unforced turnover there really from Fury. Perhaps the presence of Kawhi enough to put off Khan. Riot now coming back the other way, still needing this hold to force double game point. Swafford slowing play down. Now goes to the break side, hitting Krailkamp. Krailkamp drops it back to Weatherford. Weatherford spreads it out to Verju. Verju, I think, second guessing themselves on the little pop. Ends up going to nobody. Fury with their third chance to break of the point. O'Connor once again starting the possession. Goes over to Payne before getting it right back. O'Connor here on the near sideline. Play will come to a stop. And the other game also double game point. The other women's semifinal between Molly Brown and Sixers. So hitting a fever pitch as day two comes to a conclusion. stall 5 with the disc back in play for O'Connor. O'Connor swings it to the middle. And Finney calls a timeout, so we will get a look in the other semifinal. That one that one on double game point. Fury here trying to break to avoid just that. And it looks like Molly Brown has just scored for, I believe, what would be the game winner. Molly Brown coming onto the field to celebrate. So a thriller over there against Toronto Sixers, and that whole game has been filmed. So if you want to watch that thriller double game point semifinal game between Sixers and Molly Brown, and why wouldn't you? You can get that with an Ultiworld subscription at ultiworld.com/subscribe. We do have another thrilling finish setting up here between Riot and Fury. If you expected anything else, I'm not exactly sure why. You must not have seen these two play very often. Fury with their third possession of the point. They started on defense. A break would end it. It's Finney who will have the disc once the disc is back in play.
Watching to see if they throw anything different from what they've been utilizing earlier in this game.
And the Riot O-line has already won the disc back a couple of times on this point. Finney goes to the big fake right away. He comes underneath to Griffith. Griffith gets it right back to O'Connor. O'Connor going for the big forehand, looking for the game here. Looking for Narayan over everyone's head. The misfire from the throw there of O'Connor gives the disc back to Riot. So back and forth we go once again.
That pressure supplied by Seattle setting as a person defense with one person poached off in that deep space.
It was enough to get the disc back. Another throw into tight coverage. Verju able to hold off Payne defensively. Weatherford swings it to Swafford. Quick exchange between those two once again. Swafford stepping through contact. She comes to Kawhi cutting underneath. Kawhi rainbows that one to Verju. Payne not able to close the gap.
Fury sticking with their forced middle in hopes to create a turnover from Riot.
He's already done so 3 times on this point. Kawhi, lazy forehand into traffic. Swafford didn't close hard. Finney gets the run-through block. So Fury yet again will have a chance to break for the win. Now in goal-scoring territory, they've not been able to work it to this place on the field yet at this point. Disc with Griffith. Griffith looking for the reset. Payne way behind the disc. Turning back upfield, finding Finney in the end zone for the score. Fury breaks to win. Some discussion late, it looks like, between the observers. Maybe a stall called at the throw.
Retracted.
So,
Is that what you mean?
retracted. So, goal.
Well, you have to commend the spirit in that situation to rescind the stall call on the game-deciding throw. Riot certainly had their chances, though, on that final point. Give up the rock a number of times. Fury finally able to punch it in. They are moving on to the final, where they will play Denver Molly Brown.
I think that last point was a great, as much as turnovers were in effect in this game, but like, it's really nice to prove how equal these teams are. Both are able to make mistakes, but both are able to come back from them and then really be able to punch it back into that end zone. That run through D was phenomenal.
And that was the decisive turn. And I do want to correct myself. An earlier turnover from Verju, where I thought they simply double pumped a little bit, and that led to the turnover. In fact, it was a hand block by Opie Payne. So I want to give her credit for that impressive defensive play. Fury coming out on top with the break to end it. But really a back and forth game after that initial surge from Fury. They break to take it. So they add another win to their mantle against Riot. But another thriller, just as we'd all hoped for. Fury headed to the final. For Lindsay McKenna, I'm Daniel Prentice. Thanks for tuning in.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go, take down the champ.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.